Let's be honest about something. The story we're told about what it takes to succeed as an entrepreneur, it's not the whole story. We're about to pull back the curtain on two powerful forces that, frankly, have way more say in your success than just your work ethic. You've seen this stuff everywhere, right? This is the gospel of hustle culture. It's this romantic idea that the only thing separating you from the top is just more hours, more grind, more sacrifice. It sounds simple, and it's definitely seductive.
But come on, if you're building something, you're already working those 80 hours. You're probably past your limit. So what if the whole game isn't just about how hard you can row the boat? What if the ocean itself has its own agenda?
And that, right there, is the big idea we're digging into. Your effort, that's just the ticket to get into the game. It's non-negotiable. But it is not the game itself. There are these huge, invisible forces out there that are steering your ship, for better, and sometimes for much, much worse. Okay, so the first force is luck. And let me be clear, we're not talking about four-leaf clovers or lucky pennies. This is about real-world stuff. The simple fact that you might be in the right place at the perfect time with an idea that suddenly clicks. It's an advantage you didn't create, but it's a very real variable in the equation. And luck has a dark twin, risk. Risk is the brutal, harsh reality that you can do absolutely everything by the book. Have a brilliant plan, an amazing team, and a work ethic that's second to none, and still get completely wiped out by something you never, ever saw coming.
So you have to see them this way, as two sides of the same coin, the invisible twins. Luck is the tailwind pushing you forward. Risk is the sudden tidal wave that swamps your boat. You don't get to choose one without being exposed to the other. Let's see what that actually looks like.
So, to make this real, let's talk about maybe the most famous success story out there. And then let's think about the thousands of people who were just as smart, but whose names you'll never know. Bill Gates, of course he's a genius. No one's debating that. But just look at the setup. He went to one of the only high schools on the planet that had a computer in 1968. As a teenager, he just happens to meet Paul Allen, another programming genius. Then, the exact moment they're ready to start a company, the personal computer market is born. That's not just skill. That is a lightning strike of outrageous luck. I mean, just let that number sink in. 1 in a million. That was the chance of having his starting position. Again, this doesn't mean he didn't work hard. It means his hard work was aimed at an opportunity that was, statistically speaking, basically impossible for anyone else to get. And this is the trap of only studying the winners. We look at Gates and think, I just have to be like him. But we totally ignore the thousands of other brilliant people who also had a 1 in a million moment, but for them, it was a market crash or a key partner getting sick. Think about a company like Webvan from the dot-com era. They were brilliant, well-funded, and then the market turned. That's risk. And that's why we only remember Gates. It's called survivorship bias. This quote just nails the psychology of it all. When things go right, we think, I'm a genius. When they go wrong, we think, I'm an idiot. The truth is, it's almost never that simple. It's always a dance between what you did and the world you did it in. So, if the world is this messy and unpredictable, what are you supposed to do? Just cross your fingers? No. You need a better way to think about it, a new mental model. So, picture this. Your company is a boat. All your hard work, the code you write, the sales calls you make, those 80-hour weeks, that's you, in the boat, rowing as hard as you possibly can. But you're not in a pond. You're on this huge, unpredictable ocean. And that ocean, that's the market, the economy. That's luck and risk. So in this picture, luck is like a strong wind at your back, a current that pushes you forward faster than you could ever row on your own. And risk? Risk is that hole in the hull you didn't see, the one that's been letting in water for weeks. So, see, your job isn't just to be the best rower. Your job is to be the captain. You gotta watch for the wind and constantly check for leaks. Okay, the boat analogy is great, but let's make this something you can actually use. How does this change what you do tomorrow morning? I want to give you a simple, powerful tool for your own decision-making. The next time anything happens, a big win or a painful loss, I want you to stop. Before you celebrate or blame yourself, run it through this quick 3-part filter. First, absolutely ask, could we have executed better? But then, be honest, did we just get hit by some random bad luck? And maybe the most important one, was there a hidden risk here that we just completely missed? This gives you a much clearer picture of what really happened. This is the brutal math that hustle culture hides from you. For every successful founder you read about, there's a massive graveyard of equally talented people who failed. And most of them didn't fail because they were lazy or dumb. They failed because their boat hit an iceberg they couldn't avoid. Your job is to build a boat that can handle the ice. So I want you to ask yourself this question, maybe the most important one you'll face. What is the one thing, totally outside your control, that could kill your company tomorrow? Is it a key supplier, a platform changing its rules? Think about it. And then ask, what am I doing about that today? Once you really get this, your whole job as a founder changes. You stop thinking of yourself as just the hardest worker in the room. You start thinking like a strategist. It's not just about pushing harder, it's about positioning smarter. So you really have two choices. You can build a strategy around chasing luck, swinging for the fences, hoping for that 1 in a million shot. The payoff is huge, but the chance of total ruin is also incredibly high. Or you can build a strategy around managing risk. The goal here is just to survive, to stay in the game long enough for a good gust of wind to find you. And that's the big shift in mindset. It means you spend a little less time obsessing about how fast you're rowing and a little more time studying the weather charts. You're trying to figure out where in the vast ocean the currents are moving in your direction. And all of this leads to one final, kind of counterintuitive idea. In a world this unpredictable, your greatest strength isn't going to be pure, unshakable confidence. It's going to be humility. Now, this is not an excuse for failure. It's the opposite. It's a tool for success. When you are humble enough to admit that you don't control everything, you start preparing for surprises. You build buffers. You have backup plans. You watch the horizon. That humility is what makes you resilient, and it gives you a huge advantage over everyone who thinks hard work is all that matters. Okay, so let's make this real. Not later, right now. I want you to open a notebook or a new document. Your goal is to find what are called asymmetric opportunities. That's where the potential upside is massive, but the downside is small. It's how you position your boat to catch the wind. So how are you going to find them? Are you going to call a customer in a totally different industry, read a weird academic paper? Write down 3 concrete things you'll do this month. Because just knowing about luck and risk isn't enough. The real game is about engineering your exposure to them. So go on, start playing.